Okay, so hi and welcome to Arts and Wellness Cafe. It's so good to have you join me again. So in today's session, there's lots to talk about. So we're going to be getting on with it, and I hope that you join me with your whatever you're drinking. I've just had bay leaf, not Baileys, although I like Baileys. So think about how you're feeling. I like to start that off. Think about how you're feeling. Think about what your intentions are and what you want for this session. And as you listen to me, try and think about it's about you as a creative, and it's about the things that you enjoy doing. The purpose, the mission, however you want to frame it, but it's whatever that is for you moving forward. And I'm just getting it's a mango butter, and I've mixed it with some other oils. So it's got a really lovely smell. Anyway, so let's get on. So today's word is accelerated, and we think about what the words mean to us, and we think about how we can apply that to our lives. So you may have one word that you've chosen for the year, but sometimes it's useful to have additional words alongside. And last session's word was stillness, and especially being at the beginning of the year, we're all kind of revved up to, tackle 2024, but sometimes you need to sit in that stillness. So with the word accelerated, what does that mean for you? As I looked at the word, I thought, to move forward, to gain momentum, gain speed. And I think it kind of fits the where we are in terms of the month. We're going into a new month. We're looking at the things that we say we wanted to identify as things, goals, dreams, visions of things that we wanted to come to pass. And you think about, how are you going to put those things into practice? So hopefully previously you've been, in your studio space or your space kind of working at these things. But what is it you now need to do to move it to the next level? So I found one of the things I needed to do was clearly identify all the components for all the things that I wanted to do. I've listed my goals, I've listed, I want this to happen in this month, that month, or whatever. But it was, how do you break things down? You need to break things down so that you can clearly identify what you're working on now, and what it is, or how long you need to take for that, and what it is you want to do going forward. So some of the things that we look at as we speed up or we accelerate are the artists that we have around us, who have had an impact on your practice. Who is it that you admire? Who is it that inspires you and encourages you to create? So there are several for me. When I think about, it's across the board, and I'll list a few, but one of the ones on top of my list as I go into working with fabric is an artist called Bisa Butler, and she does very large scale work, I guess pictorial quilts, wall hangings. They're kind of like 9 foot, 7 foot, that kind of size, and she creates the images are of African American figures, and the detail is just amazing. So that's one of them. And as I say, there are many others in different fields. So I'm into, clay, pottery, ceramics. I'd love to have a kiln. And so what I've decided to do is, in the garden, find a place where I can build a traditional fire pit. And when we think about who inspires us, it isn't, as I say, it isn't just one person. It's a variety of people. And sometimes it's the smallest thing that makes us go on this journey of discovery, and you just get so excited. And so we think about not only the people around us that inspire us, your cultural identity. So as a black woman, I am thinking about my ancestors, my history, and how that all ties in, and what is it that I'm expressing in my work. And I think that comes out in the stitches, the things that I want to incorporate, the beadings, say, the colours, the symbols. And it's important that you find out whatever that is for you. And the story that you're telling, I see art that it's about everything that I do. It's in everything that I do, and I incorporate it in everything that I do. So I'm always thinking about being creative. I'm always thinking about how creativity can impact an area. So in my garden, I'm in the process of thinking about how I can incorporate my art outside, outdoor art. I've got a space on the well to do a mural, so I might even tackle that just to even beautify it, or to incorporate the natural world with this concrete structure, and how can you blend it in so it's like seamless with the plants out there and the scented henna just wafted in the wind, and the crinium lily. And it's just, how can you bring your creativity into everything that you do? And so it is thinking outside of the box and experimenting, and not being afraid to not see it as we don't want to see it as, oh, I failed. It's just like, it's just another result, and maybe I can alter it. And then as I alter all these different results, I'm trying again, and then I get, oh, this is the one I like. So it's important to give yourself that time to play, as we look at, your history, as we look at your voice, and your ancestors. And I talk about our ancestors because, it's just like, we're here, and we're here because of what they have done, and some of the sacrifices that they've made, and what has been passed down to us. So again, thinking about that kind of message, the stories, what kind of reoccurring themes. I often look at identity in a lot of my sculptures, and in my art journal I'm looking at how I tell a story, what stories am I telling visually, through shapes, through mark making, through my writing. I'm expressing, my poetry, the things that I wouldn't put in a story, but if you put certain words together, that then tells its own kind of story. How we can use our creativity and the visual images as a way to bridge that kind of gap from the verbal to our mind from the verbal, and how sometimes you can't articulate it, but when I create certain things, certain images, you may see something from that, and that hits you like right here, and you just think, oh my goodness, that's just so powerful. And it's that freedom that you allow yourself to be expressive that then enables those stories that you're telling to reach another person and touch them in places and get them to think about things that they've never thought about before, or that they hadn't thought about from, you know, very young, or something that you said takes them back to, you know, a time. There's lots of music that does that to me. It takes me back to a particular time, a road, a day, you know, a feeling on a particular day. And it's amazing when you think about the ingenuity of some musicians and how they can they whisk you away through their words or their music, the melodies. And when you allow yourself to be whisked away, certain emotions then come up. And so I want to be able to express those kind of things through the visual. And it's through practice, through constantly saying, constantly allowing yourself to express yourself through the colours, through mark making, that the stories then will come. I want to be able to encourage another person to be creative, to allow themselves to play, to allow themselves to take time and time for themselves to express themselves in the variety of creative ways. And it isn't until you try that you'll find different ways of expressing yourself. So for you, it might be through poetry, it might be through colour, it might be through music and words and songs. And as I say songs, it reminded me of a song that I wrote many years ago, and I've shared this with other people. I was just like on a what happened was I wrote a song and somebody took it and then they released it. And so I've been hearing this song played because there's this flautist who, Dave Valentine, who did a cover of it. And I've been listening to their version of it. And what it's been doing is driving me, because I said, you know, there's nothing you can do about it now unless they want to send you some of the royalties. But you wrote a song that has been released, and think about all the other things that you're creating that you've kind of kept hidden, that you've sat on, that you've just covered over. You know, what is that for you? What is it that you've been saying to yourself, oh, not now, not this year, or not this month, or I'll do it another time? What is it that you've said that about? Those dreams wanting to be birthed, wanting to be spoken, to be sung, to be on a wall and viewed. What have you been hiding? That invention. You know, oh yeah, it's just something that I, you know, put together for myself to make things easy. But there are other people who would be inspired, encouraged, healed, in awe, amazed, who you're stepping out and, again, looking at this word acceleration, getting on with it, you know, moving things forward, trying it out. Actually, let's play, you know, let's spend time playing. By you doing all of those things, you've unlocked something for them. And as we're all connected, you know, you then inspire them to step out into whatever God's given them to do. You know, they were waiting for a sign, and your song was that sign. The words that you sung in that song was a sign. The words that you spoke was that sign for them to move forward. You know, they unchained themselves. They unchained the chains of their mind and said, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to wait another day, another moment. I'm going to do it now. So what is it that you've been sitting on that you need to accelerate now? Whatever you're doing, you need to step out of the way and say, okay, these are the things that need to be done and I'm going to do them. And remember where you find your inspiration from and make a note of it. Because when you don't feel inspired, you've got to dip into that. You've got to open your tool bag, as I say in my course, Filling the Creative Well. I talk about this toolkit, and the whole course is about you creating a toolkit that you can dip into. I need an encouraging word. Let me dip into it. I need to think about certain questions. You know, the question of who's inspiring me, what's inspiring me. I've written about that, so let me look in this toolkit and think about what I said then and what I feel now. And it's not something that you just, oh right, I've done it. It's something that you have to go back to, because you're getting older, your views change, your circumstances and situations change. So sometimes your answers might change. You might see things in a new light. So you need to go back into the toolkit and say, oh, this is what I thought then. And this is part of my toolkit. As I say, you know, there are questions, there are prompts. What makes you want to dim your light? I answered it back then. How do I feel now? Am I dimming my light? Are there things that I'm holding back? If I'm needing to start to accelerate in what I'm doing, or accelerate my, start putting some momentum behind what I'm doing. What is it I'm thinking about myself? So that's a question. What are you thinking about yourself right now that could be the barrier that you need to move out of the way? You know, what is it that you've been saying to yourself? So all of these are questions that you write in your journal. You put, little mementos and things like that, and you create certain things. And that is to encourage you to play, to encourage you to see yourself in that light, where you need to move forward, you need to start, and that's a word I need to start. That's a word I'm going to try and say less of, because it's about us. I want you to get it, and I want you to have that understanding about yourself. So yeah, Filling the Creative Well is a course that I want you to have a look at and think about what you want, and think about how you want to move forward. Think about how you're treating yourself. Are you treating yourself with care? So that was the word accelerate, and I shared a bit about Filling the Creative Well course, and this is my journal, and this is just a composition notebook that I've altered, and there are so many different things that you do in your journal, but it's something that you have going forward, and you might even need to create another one, as I say, because sometimes your views change. These are encouragements that you've written down. This is all about being positive, and whilst you're in this particular location at this particular time, you might start to think differently, so you need to address those going forward. And so it's a really nice way to constantly be diving in to who you think you are, who God says you are, the things that you want out of your life, the things that you need to change, the things that you need to accelerate. The art journal activity that I want you to look at is also about thinking. It's it's also about self-care, and it's also about how we spend time using our supplies. So this is it's a relaxed activity, and it's just exploring with either pencils, charcoal, or pastels, or all three, and just adding colour to the page. So if you've got somebody that you are caring for, this is just a nice activity for them to play with the supplies, get used to the supplies, and see if they like it. Some might not like the charcoal because of the dust, or the pastels. I find that some might be quite fine, and it becomes an exercise where, you know, you're using your fingers, you're adding colour, and some might be just happy with the pencil. Think about the different types of pencil, the very hard or the very soft. The sort of like the 8B, the 9B are the very, you know, the soft ones, the water soluble ones. You've got a variety of different ones, and we'll have a look at some of them, and we will just play on the page. You can create an image or not, you can create lines, and if you've got the graphite tint ones, you can colour in some shapes, you can add colours to the page and apply some water. Okay, so here we are with some supplies. I've got my Derwent ink graphite tint, so it's Derwent graphite tint. I've got it's a 9B water soluble graphite. I've got charcoal pencil. I don't like holding the charcoal, the loose charcoal. I've got, this is a 6B, I think, or a 9B. Here's an 8B. I'll show you how they look on the paper. It's dark indigo. And then I've got the pencils, and they're ranging from 2B for B, HB, B, 6, we got 5, 8B, what's this one? That's a 3B. And then I've got some other well-worn pencils here. So we're going to have a look, and we're going to have a play. So again, it's taking what you want to play with. I've got some pastels, but I'm not filling pastels today. So again, it's taking what you want to work with and working with that and adding to the page. So I said this one is, I'll start with the water soluble ones. So this is water soluble. So I don't know why I wanted to draw a B. Probably because it's like a 9B. But these are water soluble, and I use these say with a fine brush, or if I'm creating an image, I will outline the image and then add colour, and then use what I've done with the this as the shadow or shading on the piece. These ones now are not water soluble. I haven't used this for a while, but I would use this with, say, charcoal. So this is like a charcoal pencil. It's got a plastic coating on it, which means your hands don't get messed. This is another charcoal pencil. I really like this one, this particular one. This is by Prang. I'm not even sure if they make them anymore, but I will leave a link to all of the supplies that I use. So again, I used to use this a lot in my art journal. And then we've got some very fine, but this is not about, you know, different, the finer ones. This is about using like the charcoal or the pencil. This is an 8B. And we'll do some of these ones. So this is a 3B. So you can get some really nice effects. 6B. using the pencil, using shading, using your fingers. T5. But as I say, I would use these with when I'm creating portraits. I haven't done that for a very long time. This is 8B. Again, I think we've used an 8B already. And then you've got the HB, and this is another 6B, but it's encased. So as you see, I'm going over all of the marks to see which ones are more soluble than not. The HB up to the 8B pencils are not, but you get movement from the charcoal and the water soluble. And we're going to be able to use this, say, in a background. If you work in an art journal, you can use this in a background. You can add colour to this, and you can tear it up and use it in that way. Let me show you the colours that we've got here. I'm sure they've got more colours, but we'll just show you some of the colours that we've got here with the graphite tint. So that's the graphite tint, but you do get a nice colour, and obviously if it was on, this is just printer paper, so if it's on watercolour paper you'll get a better result. So the activity is just about playing with the supplies. It's not about creating anything that has to look like anything. I mean, you could even make your own colouring page by taking what you've done with the if you did a similar thing with the pencils, and then just go around colouring in the areas, and then you can, as I say, use this page and use it for collage. You can make a mini book. I think that's probably what we'll do with this, and everything gets reused back. But it's a nice way just to experiment and try out. So if you've got, say, a colouring page, you could use a colouring page. This is one of mine from my Etsy store, and you can colour that in. You can print it out on cards, or use what you already have and add, either if you've got pastels or watercolor pencils, just use what you have. But it's a nice way to get to know your supplies. So I'm now just going through and picking random graphite tint pencils and colouring in this page. Now obviously this is just a quick sketch playing about, but you know, as I say, you can make your own colouring pages very easily. Okay, so let's activate the colours now. We'll see how much coverage we get. Where there's extra, I'll put it in another place. Making the book, and but as I said, you can, once you've worked on the papers, you can use them, you can leave them as is. This is the next, creating paper ephemera. So, you know, you can take it as far or as leave it as is, and I've still got additional that I can use in a project. But yeah, I always find this like the mark making a relaxing activity, so it's nice to be able to use a different supply with the Inktense pencils, the graphite, the charcoal, the water-soluble graphite. It's nice to be able to play around. So I encourage you to do that. And if you do make a journal, or whatever you make, I'd love to be able to see. And I will let this dry thoroughly, and then I can, you know, make notes in it. I can put some encouraging words. It says bold. This little phrase says dream big dreams. So I can add that. I think I will actually. Let's add that. And then I can find additional spots to write something, or I can just solely use, I've got these little phrases printed on just some paper. So I can use them as, use the leaves that I've created here as tags, or I can add them in here. So again, we're going down another little rabbit hole. There's lots that you can do, but these are the combined pages, playing about with the graphite and then cutting it into shapes, playing about with the Inktense and creating a mini journal. Okay, so let's get back, and I hope that that has been enjoyable. So that was the activity. I hope you enjoyed that, and it's always nice to redo the activity using different supplies, or, you know, just using one at a time rather than all three, or, you know, the others that you have. And again, just play with it. You can use some prompts if you want, or you can just allow yourself to explore where you want to go on the page. Start with some colouring in or whatever, and just enjoy it. But as I say, you can adapt it if you're caring for somebody, or if you want to just break up the activity. So now we are going to look at the fabric piece. Yeah, so now I wanted to share some of the fabric, just briefly, that we have worked on in Material Musings, and in the next video, so you get an early sneak peek. I wanted to work with some of the fabric. So I've dyed a lot of fabric. This is done with avocado, and I don't know whether you can see the pattern there. Let me show you another one. But I got some really nice results with the tea. So that's, again, the avocado. And oh, let me show you this one. This is the red terracotta. It's the it's hand what do you call it? Self-drying clay. Look at that. That's the back. But that's wax resist. So I was playing about with wax resist, and let me just show you this. Because I've used scented candles, it leaves like a kind of smell, aroma. So that has been, it was initially dyed with clay, and then it wasn't as dark as I wanted it to be. So then I took a conventional dye and combined it. So we've still got areas where you can see the clay very faintly, but I'm really looking forward to using these pieces. So that's a sneak peek. I was going to show them on show them some additional fabric that I've been working on in Material Monday. It used to be called Material Mondays in Material Musings. So you get a sneak peek, and I will be offering some, not really samples, but some bags that I'm making up of some of the fabric. So there will be some vintage fabric, some hand-dyed fabric, so even some of the avocado dyed inked, so some of those pieces are going to be in there as well. So I'm hoping to put them together for the next material musings. So if you join me for that, you'll be able to see that the bag's actually put together, and I'll be offering them on my course platform. So now it's time for tip for the week.
Listen up, everyone. I got a tip to share about how to use creativity. There's no need to compare. This creative tip is gonna be where it's at.
So in tip for the week, the tip is about asking for help. Now, I covered this, a fraction of it, in my creative garden. So out there, I was chopping down, or trimming trees rather, and some of them are hardwood, some of them are really heavy, and so I needed help. So I was able to get some assistance and trim the necessary trees. But what I realised is it's not everybody you can ask for help. Not everybody has the capacity to give you the help that you need, or has the ability to do the thing that you wanted help with. It's to remind yourself, it's not everybody wants to help you. So you've got to be aware of that, and some of them could be even in, under the same roof as you. So you have to then look at what it is you need help for and ask appropriate people, or ask somebody with a particular skill, the particular skills that you need, because it can be very hard going on emotionally asking for help and not getting the support. And I think sometimes it's, you don't necessarily want somebody to be able to do the thing exactly how you're doing it, but it's the support. It could be moral support, it could be encouragement, it could be, okay, let me hold the ladder, or let me hold that particular thing for you. So you've got to think about how you articulate asking for help, the words that you use, and the things that may be triggers. So you could ask in a particular way, and their response could be a trigger from, say, a childhood experience, or the way that you can sometimes feel as a child that, well, the adults hold all the power, and if they say no, it's just like, so you don't get to do that particular thing. And remembering that you're an adult now, so somebody could say no and you just move on and ask somebody else. Just because that person said no doesn't mean the next person will. So asking for help when necessary, not trying to carry everything by yourself, and making room for somebody to come alongside and support you. Or it could, and identifying what kind of help it is that you need. Is it this moral support? Is it encouragement? Is it physically, I need you to help me lift this? Be clear for yourself and think about who it is that you're asking for help. So that's tip for the week. Think about who you ask for help, and articulate clearly. Know yourself what it is you want. Okay, so I haven't yet finished this book. I've been going through it. I've got an electronic copy. There are some great hints and tips. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing a review of this book and sharing some of the things that I've been creating or ideas that have inspired me from this book. Okay, so one of the spotlights, we've got several spotlights for this episode. We're going to spotlight some resources, Arts Resource Hub, so check that out. There are lots of things that you get each and every month. It's updated on a regular basis. There are free digital downloads. So January's digital download will be going, and you'll be getting February's one. And it's at the end of the year that you get to see them all briefly one last time for about a week and download whatever you want, and then they're gone. You can buy them as a kit, complete kit with some additional things at the end of the year on my course platform. The artist spotlight. So we are spotlighting an artist called Lisame, and here is some of her work that you can see. So I met her at a exhibition. We were both participating in the Caribbean Fine Art Fair. What is consistent throughout her work is the amount of detail that she puts in, and she's currently working with fabric and acrylics, so she combines them together. So here are some examples of her work, and she's going to be here in Barbados for the Caribbean Fine Art Fair on the 6th to the 11th of March. And prior to that, the other spotlight is the Artist Studio Tours. It's on the 3rd and the 4th of February. So take a look at that. There's over 44 artists in 25 studios all around Barbados. So I participated in the 2020 version, and last year I went round to the studios, and I really enjoyed it. It was really nice to be on the other side and just be able to visit all the artists, and I took some photographs. So I'm hoping to be able to go around again. I've got to hire my son to take me round, be my driver for the day. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of new artists taking part, so it'll be nice to see their studio spaces or their work. But yeah, it's going to be a really great time. And there is a bus tour as well. There's a photographer called Ron, and I'll put his details, and he's doing a bus tour around a select amount of studios on 2 different days. So you can sign up to that, and that's $75, I think, and starts early because, as I say, there's a lot to see, and it's nice to be able to engage with the artists, and it really is a fun time to just take those 2 days. It's coming on again in March, but I'll tell you later on down the line. Some of the artists that are in the February show won't be in the March show, but yeah, there's so much to see, and you're not going to be able to get it done in a day, so block out the 2 days to be able to see everybody and drive around, and make sure that you take time for lunch and something to drink, because you don't want if you're going with a group of people, you don't want anybody who's tired and ratty, if that's the right word, because they're hungry A hungry man is an angry man. So anyway, yeah, Artist Studio Tour, so definitely check that out. So finally, for the Arts and Wellness Cafe, we are going to have a quick question, and I want, again, you to think about this question, mull it over in your mind, and think about what it would be for you. So the question is, what is a dream art project or collaboration that you would love to pursue? So very often, I mean, we say, you know, as artists, the our journey is can be quite isolating. Unless you're in like a shared studio, or again, you attend events where, you know, you participate in exhibitions. Think about the different collaborations that you can make, or you can have. Think about somebody that, yes, you'd really like to work with. And Beast is on the top of my list. But I think it's important to collaborate and work with other artists. And I've done that, say, in exhibitions. I've worked with Lisa. We've created a couple of, we call it art talks or artist talks, where we discuss different things, and I'll be sharing some of that in the next coming weeks as we lead up to the Caribbean Fine Art Fair. And it's, yeah, just looking at, for our artist talks, it's just looking at questions that we have, and sometimes you need somebody to kind of just talk it over with, you know, to kind of get their point of view, or to even hear yourself share your point of view and listen to what it is you think, what's on your heart. There are the NCF, the National Cultural Foundation, also has a variety of different projects that they put on which bring artists together. They've had mural projects, they've had basket weaving projects, so they're one to keep a lookout of, and look at some of the events and things that they have coming up, or classes that they put on, to encourage creatives to kind of like learn and work with one another. So some of the mural projects have been very collaborative and have brought different artists with different skill sets together, and that's been really good. I found being part of say like an online course with other teachers collaborative, because you then get to interact with teachers that you may not have come across, or you might not necessarily you know, you're creating your lesson yourself, but you get to see their lessons, you get to see the way that they interact with their students, or the way that they create their lessons and put things together. And as I say, there's working, you know, one-on-one with somebody. You know, you have art journal projects, or you have the 100-day projects coming up. So that's coming up in February. So that's something that, even though you're working on your own, you're doing this big thing where other artists are coming together, and you're sharing your work using the hashtag, and so you can see what everybody else is working on and encourage and support. And the other thing that I used to do was blog challenges, where again it's a similar sort of thing. We all come together and we agreed to be part of this blog challenge. We all post to our own blogs, but then we go to other people who are participating, we go to their blogs and leave words of encouragement, read what they've done. And that's another nice way, because again, you're coming across people who you may not have in your day-to-day come across, and you know, find out what things are like from their perspective. So again, that's something to think about. Start writing them down. Have a dream collaboration journal that you can write down different things that you would like to do, or if you are doing them, make a note of them, because very often we can, you know, forget. Like, I'm just remembering that I've taken part in at least 4 or 5 100-day projects. I've done a pastel one. I've done this was my latest one, where I was doing 100 collage pieces. I've done 100 days of creating my own stamps, and again, it's been great fun seeing how I can really push myself and step out of my comfort zone, and it's another great way to see be inspired by other people, see what other people are doing. So I hope when we bring all of this together, we think about the word, we think about how the word accelerate, what does that mean for us? What do we now need to do? When we look at the art journal practice page, how does that make us feel? How does it make us feel working with pencils, graphite, or pastels? What does it make? How does it make us feel? And how do we have to adjust for, if you're caring for somebody, how do we adjust for ourselves? You know them better than I do. I can suggest ways, but it could be a very slight thing that you do. Or it could be one where, well, I take an image and I create. Now I'm going to give it to you to do something with. Or, even, I was just thinking left and right, your non-dominant hand. I do something with my dominant hand, and then on the same thing, I do something with my non-dominant hand. Looking at the tips for the week, how are we going to ask for help? What do we need to ask for help in? Looking at the stitch projects, did anything inspire you? Did anything make you think, oh, I want to try that? And the books that we read, how are they inspiring us? Look at the question for the week, what kind of collaborations are you going to do? Is it, something that you can talk to somebody about and maybe, have that first, perhaps we can think about doing this particular project. Start the ball rolling. Again, stepping out of your comfort zone. And it could be that you're asking for help to step out of your comfort zone by doing a collaboration with somebody. And think about that dream project. You know what it is. It's been sitting on your heart. You've been sitting on it for a long time. And it's time now to open the door, open the book, open the supplies, open wherever it is you've been hiding this. Open your heart, open your mind. So I hope that you've been encouraged. And I look forward to hearing your point of view. What is it that struck out for you in the Arts and Wellness Cafe today? Where are you going to take some of the things that has come up? Has anything pricked your interest? Are you being motivated to do anything particular? I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to hear what you're doing. So, take care for now, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.